recent weeks, you've been working to deter Venezuelan drug traffickers, of which there are many. Of course, there aren't too many coming in by sea anymore, if you probably noticed that, from sending their poisons into the United States, where they kill hundreds of thousands of people a year. But we're going to take care of that situation. We're already doing a lot. We've almost stopped. It's about 85% stopped by sea. You probably noticed that. People aren't wanting to be delivering by sea. And we'll be starting to stop them by land also. The land is easier, but that's going to start very soon. We warn them, stop sending poison to our country.
So the current situation with the U.S. and Venezuela has been building for several months, certainly with the return of President Trump coming back to office this year. But what we've seen, in addition to more sort of traditional moves or measures the Trump administration has tried to put on regimes that it has had problems with, like Russia, Iran, China, tariffs, sanctions, other diplomatic moves, isolation. What we're seeing in Venezuela, which is very different, is a fairly significant U.S. military buildup that is now in place in different parts of the Caribbean and Latin America, and what seemed like pretty overt threats from President Trump, warning of possible military action, covert action. So the U.S. isn't really trying to hide what it may wind up doing to President Maduro in Venezuela, but this is a very serious pressure campaign. What we haven't yet seen, though, is the next step in that. So the things that I would be looking for, and some of them have already happened in terms of future indicators of the next phase of the U.S. strategy, are these very sort of bold statements from President Trump. And he has warned of both covert action carried out by CIA and overt military action by the Department of War against President Maduro in Venezuela. That hasn't happened yet, at least on the overt side. Now, again, there may be some covert action happening that has not been reported, but it doesn't seem, even if that's happening, it's not making headlines. Will there be additional deployments of U.S. military resources in the region beyond the presence of the largest aircraft carrier in the U.S. inventory, the Gerald R. Ford, which is on station? There are reports of lots of U.S. military aircraft in different parts of the Caribbean as well, Puerto Rico, Trinidad and Tobago, other places. There are troops either in the Marines or the Army, either at sea in the Caribbean or in other fixed locations, or they're moving around. So there's a lot already in the region, and if there's even more on top of that, then one would think either that capability is going to be used, or it's all sort of trying to demonstrate to President Maduro that it's either you leave the regime now and perhaps dictate some terms that are somewhat agreeable, or there will be a full-scale military operation to unseat you. Venezuela for now almost 20 years has been sort of a sore spot for multiple administrations. And what we're seeing now, though, is President Trump in his second term just potentially using a different playbook and perhaps using other tools that other administrations have not in the past. The parallel I keep going back to is potentially something that would look like the invasion of Panama in 1989, which involved even more U.S. forces that are in the region right now. So is that sort of the goal?
Maduro, the U.S.
Yeah, right.
designated him the leader of this foreign terrorist organization. Why do you want to talk to him if he's the leader?
Or if we can save lives, if we can do things the easy way, that's fine. And if we have to do it the hard way, that's fine too.
Mr. President, do you have any reaction?
If you carry
I'm not
on.
going to tell you what the goal is. You should probably know what the goal is, but they've caused a lot of problem. And they've sent millions of people into our country. They were probably the biggest abuser with Tren de Aragua and all the others that they sent in, the drug dealers, the drug lords, the people that they sent in, the jailbird. They opened their jails and prisons and dumped them into the United States. And we're not happy about it.
So public support in the US for military action, at least based on the polling data that I've seen, does not seem to be high. And this may be another factor the administration is thinking through, because if we are going to go to war against Venezuela to unseat the regime, that is even very different than the boat strikes that have been happening over since September, which are also controversial. But I don't think the American public, for the most part, is opposed to those as they are, as at least based on polling data, as they are about a full-scale military invasion of Venezuela.